Welcome to another episode of the Cuppa with the Conversationalist. My name is Con and I am the Conversationalist. And hang on to your seats, folks. I don't have a latte. I've had 3 already and I'm buzzing like a blowfly in a bottle. Today, we're talking cost of living and inflation at every turn, the price of groceries and everyday living expenses, and people are struggling. My guest today is Samantha Boardman, originally from Stockport in northwest of England. She founded Spending Made Easy in July 2016 after being made redundant from her corporate job 12 months before. At Spending Made Easy, they are experts at budgeting and take all the stress, worry, panic, and uncertainty, and often sleepless nights out of the mundane and tedious day-to-day finances and budgeting. Sam absolutely loves what she does and has even written a book called Budgeting is Crap, because it is, right? We'll talk about that later. Sam is on a mission to get as many people as possible with a spending plan. Spending plans change lives, and Spending Made Easy has many, many success stories on her social pages, which we'll share in the links later on. Sam is also a regular contributor on an internet radio station, Podcast City Radio, here in Australia. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Ron. That was a nice introduction. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. And my name's Con, not Ron.
Oh, I did call you Con, didn't I?
You called me Ron, but that's okay.
No way.
I get the connection. Hey, Sam, I'm curious. You've started Spending Made Easy with after you were made redundant. Now, what led you into that area, into budgeting? Was it an interest, or what was it that led you into that?
After I got made redundant after my corporate world, as you said, I had 12 months off, so I had a lot of time to think about it. And I decided over those 12 months that I wanted to basically sort of change your life, because we're only on this earth once, right? And I thought I didn't want to go back to behind a desk corporate world again. And I thought I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to do something that I'm really good at, and I want to enjoy it. I don't want it to be tedious or something that will be too much of a challenge for me, because I think that they say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. So I found the Spending Planners Institute, which is the software that we use. And yeah, I just totally got on board with it. I joined, it's not a franchise, we pay just a license fee to use this software. And it's just epic. It really is epic. And because it was 12 months on that I found it, I really wish I had it the day I got made redundant, because my money would have gone a lot further. So yeah, and I've always budgeted. As you said at the start, I have written a book called Budgeting is Crap, because it is. And that basically is the story of me budgeting from my very first memory of budgeting. And basically I realized during those 12 months off that I've always budgeted. I'm always the person, if there's a gang of people go out for dinner and they say, Sam, there's the bill, just tell me how much I owe. I didn't have any wine, but I have the garlic bread, and I go, all right, if you lot pay 40 and you lot pay 20, are we happy? And you go, yay. I've always budgeted, and I love it. I love numbers. I love, making everything fit. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I get that. So where does the title then, Budgeting is Crap, because it is, right? Isn't there a contradiction there in terms of you're actually a budgeting expert and you're helping people, but on the other hand, you're saying budgeting's crap?
Yes.
Explain that.
And I love these conversations. I called my book Budgeting is Crap because it is. Okay, so years ago when we budgeted, I'm sure it was the same for you. If you wanted to buy a new pair of shoes or a new pair of jeans, you went out to the shop, and the shop didn't give you the shoes or the jeans until you gave them the money for the shoes or the jeans. And we would save up, and we would, have our money and then go into the shop, buy them, and then take them away. These days, you can go shopping, come back with a load of shopping bags, be very happy with your purchases, and still have nothing left your bank account or whatever, because all of your payments are going to be into the future. So now, based on years ago, things are different. All our payments are in the future, whereas before we saved up before we got there. So, and I think that budgeting, people tend to budget with what they've got. So they will say, like years ago when I had my corporate job, I got a 5, in them days we used to get 5% pay rises. I would have my my little budget written out in my little book that I wrote everything down in. And then when I got a pay rise, I just go, oh, that means I can spend more on my clothes, more on, petrol went up. Whereas now with a spending plan, it's different. So it's completely different because it's all about frequencies. It's all about seeing how much buffer you've got, how much in surplus you've got based on your expenses. So yeah, budgeting is crap because it doesn't work. But spending plans are in. So that's why I say budgeting is crap, because it's a spending plan you need, not a budget.
Ah, okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely a different take. Every corner, every newspaper, every radio station, every television, we're bombarded about this cost of living crisis. And bachelor, my grocery bill is a fraction of what a family's is, but I still notice things. There are my coffee has gone up nearly 25%. Little things like that. What are you seeing in terms of cost of living crisis, and what are your thoughts on either that term or the situation as it is?
Yeah, and I can relate to the bachelor lifestyle because I too am a bachelorette. And so yeah, my food bill is not, and I've got clients who say, oh, my food bill's $450 a week, and I go, what? Like, oh, I panic. So I see it all the time, and I think, and when there's, Con, when you're when there's just you can please yourself, but when you've got kids to feed and a husband, and you might have been on the road all day, they want a healthy meal and something good inside them. So it is expensive. But as you said, with the TV, like petrol's going up, cost of living's going up, utilities are going up, the gas, the electric, it's crazy. Everything is going up, but our wages or our incomes aren't going up by the same rate. So we're effectively trying to fit more into less. So yeah, I see it all the time, and people are struggling. And I met with a financial planner yesterday, and he was telling me that the amount of people, he knows the statistics of people that are coming off fixed rates, like in the next however many months, in the next, say, 6 or 12 months. And they all got fantastic rates. They all locked in at 2 or 3%. They're all going to go up to, say, 6.5% if it's variable rate. And with the average mortgage in Australia being over 600,000, that's just, people are going to have to find thousands of dollars with the same money, with the food going up and the utilities going up. Oh, and then your mortgage is going to go up like hugely. Not like your 25% on your coffee. It's massive, because you cannot pay, you don't have a coffee. If you haven't got the money, you don't have the coffee. You just have another one the day, break it up a bit, maybe have less coffee. But your mortgage, you have to pay. It's the roof over your head. So it's absolute, people are stressing, and I feel like it's doom and gloom, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better either, which is a bit sad.
The media certainly doesn't help that. There's no question about that. And
they run with it, don't they?
They grab it and they run big time. Tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges that people have when they come to you?
Biggest challenges is, I reckon, is the biggest challenge that people have is trying to get organized and frequencies. People will say, oh, I forgot my rego, or this an annual premium that I completely forgot about, or the kid that goes on a school trip every year and they go, oh, I didn't realize I forgot the school trip. Just, people need better organization. I think often my clients have got way more than they expected. I've got our most recent client, like literally the last few days, and she's written me a fabulous 5-star review. And she was saying, I thought I had to go and get another job because of, she thought she was living beyond her means. And now she's actually done the spending plan. She's done my process. She's realized how much she's got left over. She's got an emergency fund that she's putting away. And she actually realizes that she already had enough. But I think the challenge for people is to actually get that organization in their life, not necessarily with Spending Made Easy, but with, if an Excel spreadsheet or writing it down. But the thing is, writing it down, like, it's complicated, isn't it? When there's stuff that's annually, there's fortnightly, there's monthly, there's daily, there's weekly, there's, 6 weekly or, so it's, with a spending plan, you put it all in, you never need a calculator, and then it will tell you how much money you need to be putting into that account. And generally you go, oh, I've got that. Where's it all going? Because people aren't monitoring their money, or, they say if you're not monitoring it, you can't improve it.
Yes, you can't manage what you don't measure.
That's it.
You can't manage what you don't measure. And okay, that's really interesting. What about some of your clients that come to you that, let's say, potentially are having some challenges, and when you sit and do the spending plan, there's just not quite enough? What sort of issues are they facing, and how are you dealing with that?
Because it is a very visual product, the spending plan, we can see all transactions, all payments moving forward. And so many people are just, and little things make a difference as well. So cutting back on your coffee. I had a client once who every Friday she had pizzas. She was a single mom with 2 boys. Every Friday was pizza night. And when she did the spending plan, I said, how much do you spend on the pizzas? $50 every Friday. So we put $50 in every Friday, and we could see what effect that was having on, her spending in the next 12 months. And then she said, I just might do it once a month. She flicked it to once a month, the pizza on a Friday. And all of a sudden, you don't need to say, oh, that's, $50 a week is, $200. Therefore, once a week I'm saving 100. It's not, because there's 52 weeks in a year. So, it's just a rolling thing. And then she saw literally what benefits she could get from just tweaking something little, so, and people, so it's a really visual tool. And sometimes people go, do you know what? Netflix has got to go, or all of these streaming devices, or I haven't been to the gym for 3 months. I'm going to cancel it now because it can go. And with my, in my work, I talk about wants and needs. And, you don't need a pair of shoes in every color. You need a roof over your head, clean running water, and food on the table. You don't need 3 gym memberships. You don't need Fetch, Stan, Netflix, You just, it's all those are all nice to haves, if you like. So they're wants. So we start off with the needs, and then we go until we've used all of the money up, if you like. And if they've put it all in and it's overwhelmed and they're going to go overdrawn, then we have to start taking stuff off. And that's when we go with the priorities.
Speaking of your lady with the pizza and coffees, I'm always astounded when I'm in the city heading to meetings at lunchtime, and the amount of people that are lining up, to buy their lunches and coffees. And look, at the end of the day, each to their own. But I look at people, they'll go out in the morning for a coffee, and they'll get a little snack, a cake or something, and then they'll buy their lunch, and then they'll go back out in the afternoon and another takeaway coffee. And I'm sitting there and I'm adding it up in my head. I'm going, these people have got to be spending $40 a day. Got to be. 4 5s are 200. 200 times, call it 4, there's 4.3 weeks in a month, I get that, is $800 a month. Is $9,200 a year, 10 grand. on coffees and lunch. Are you kidding me?
I know. I do part-time where I take my my lunch, and you get what you want then, don't you? But it's and the people who are selling it are capitalizing on it because it's not cheap, as we know.
I'm not trying to put anybody out of business here. I mean, if you're a cafe owner, please don't throw rocks at me. But if people are coming to you and they're having issues with their budgets or spending plans, and they have that kind of behavior, is that something that you deal with and go, guys, have a look at this?
Yeah, that's part of the process, particularly with the 6 months support and guidance, because at the start of the process, they do sign they do agree to being coached, if you like, open to new ideas, developing new spending habits, listening to somebody different. And so they know that, something's got to do differently. And I always say, like, the reason you came to Spending Made Easy, there's a reason. So if you keep going along the way you are doing, then you may end up not changing. So you've got to change something. So you come to me, and sometimes people say to me, I want you to beat me about the head. I want you to be firm with me. I want you to be strict. I want you to tell me where I'm going wrong. And then on the other side, I also have people in denial going, I can't possibly not do that and not do that. Or they'll spend all the money and then come to the meeting and then think I can fix it. And I can't make it happen. I can't make it appear. My favorite clients are the ones that listen and that take on ideas and that do all the process, and they see what the difference is, and they see into the future, their financial future, and then they live by it. And they go, oh my God, I'm so focused. I'm driven. I am not going to get a pizza every week. I'm going to do it every month. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that differently. And oh, look what I can do. Like, I'm not going to have 3 coffees a day. I'm just going to have 1, and things like that. I'm going to start taking my lunch to work because it's expensive. I'm spending $20 a day in a
and I'm being conservative. I mean, goodness me, probably 10 years ago, happened to be in town in my office and forgot to take lunch or didn't have time to go home. Went to a little snack bar, double cut roll, can of drink, and a little cookie, $25. And after I choked on it, that was the last time. And again, I don't begrudge people making a profit, far from it. Interesting, talking about coffees and things like that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, a gentleman by the name of Dave Ramsey in the US.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Dave Ramsey is, his motto is never ever borrow money. Like if you haven't got the money, you don't buy it. You don't borrow money for a house. You save, you whatever. And he's
really, he doesn't think you should save for. He doesn't think you should.
He
have a mortgage.
Is brutal on people who come to him with debt, and talks about coffees and dinners and student loans and goodness knows whatever else. Again, we've kind of touched on it, but just for the last time, are you okay with people having that coffee, provided it's not affecting their spending plan?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do it. I love my coffee. My friends know I love my coffee. And, I actually haven't had one today. And
goodness me, I've had enough for both of us.
You have, haven't you? You said that at the start. I thought, oh God, he's had enough. But every now and then I have caffeine-free days. But then obviously my purse welcomes it. But yeah, I always say at Spending Made Easy, we have no judgments, okay? So what we do is we start off with the priorities, the roof over your head, the clean running water, the food. And if you've got enough income that when you've got everything sorted out and we've got all the bills paid for and all the kids' school fees and all the food on the table and all the rest of it, and your gas and your electric and everything's paid for, if you've got a little bit left over and you're saving it, and then you go, do you know what? I can save $200 a week, but there's actually $300 a week. I'm going to have that $100 a week, and I'm going to use that for my coffee and for my cakes or for going out with my girlfriends or for a glass of wine. And then what I suggest for people who are in that situation is put that $100 in a separate account, and often with a different bank, so that you can't, like it's separate.
It's harder to transfer and play around with.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it's gone, it's gone. And that's why I love cash, because I have it's not here. I have a purse that's got my I call it my purse money, but it's my coffee money. I just put $100 in there a week, and then when I go out, or I buy myself breakfast or a coffee or whatever. But when it's gone, it's gone. I don't get the coffee or the breakfast. But sometimes there's extra in it. So then I go, oh, I might buy my breakfast. I might spend $25 on a thing. But I think that it's important that we enjoy life, and that if you love your coffee, then if you can afford it, then why not?
Yeah, sure.
But not at the detriment of, your kids' school fees, or your kids' shoes,
or you're paying your mortgage,
food on the table, or the mortgage.
You spoke about earlier about how when we were younger, particularly if we wanted to buy a pair of shoes or a new handbag or whatever it was, we saved up. We put the money aside, and then a beautiful thing called lay-by came around, where you still didn't get it, but you could pay a little bit off, and it was kind of like forced saving. And then in the last few years, we've been cursed by buy now, pay later schemes like exactly, like Afterpay. And I was horrified years ago when it first came out and they were promoting it in the paper. And there was a young girl who was promoting it, and she had all her new purchases, her new shoes, new handbag, new dress, sprawled out on her bed, and proudly saying that she got them all and didn't have to pay a cent, and she could pay it off over 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it is. And absolutely mortified. Now, the default rates on these things are going through the roof. How much impact is that having on particularly what you see in your area?
Yeah, it's massive. Lots of people have got, the Afterpay, the buy now, pay later scenarios, lots of them. Yeah, I get referrals from mortgage brokers to help somebody buy their first home. And they'll literally know, because they have to go through the bank statements, and they say, once they've worked with you, I want this not to be here. And they will highlight Afterpay, buy now, pay later, credit card debt. Rah, rah, rah. And I think everybody's just signing up for it and not realizing it's having a detrimental effect on their future ability to purchase or to take a loan out. So it's massive, but so many people are doing it. I've never done it, and I don't understand it, to be honest, because I am from the era where you save up for it and you pay for it, and that's it. And they make their money on when you default, don't they? Because it's not, if you pay something $100, I think you pay 4 lots of 25, so you don't actually pay more. But if you default on one of those, you don't pay it on time. I think that the interest rates are
exorbitant.
Yeah. And I think as well, sorry to interrupt, but I think that what's happening is people aren't thinking into the future. This is what I was saying about budgets don't work, because they think they've got the little budget sorted, and then they go, oh, I'm going to do Afterpay for that, and that, and buy now, pay later, do all these scenarios, and then go home and go, oh my God, the rent was due that week. What am I going to do? I either not pay the rent, or I pay extortionate fees to this company who I just signed up with. And I'm sure you sign a terms and conditions saying, I know these fees, and people just aren't thinking ahead. So, and it's not good for them anyway, because as we said, it's affecting their credit score. And it's like people think that they didn't pay for it. Like the lady who you said she was excited that she had all this stuff. Does she think she's not paying for it? How good would she have felt if she'd have saved up $300 or $400, gone on a shopping spree and spent the $300 or $400 and gone, I would like or love that picture. if it was on social media, where somebody's saved up and gone, do you know what? I spent all of this and I had $200, $300 and I spent it. Well done. You saved it, you spent it. Yay. But, the shops out there and the people selling us this stuff, they're all over it because they're tapping into the youngsters, particular the young girls, with their, we must have that instant gratification. And how many times do you get buyer's remorse when you buy something? I didn't really like that in the first place. How many times have you heard a woman say, I've got a dress in the cupboard and it's got its tags on still? Is that good? Why didn't she wear it? It's crazy.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And it was interesting. You talk about the credit, the effect on credit. I know a mortgage broker quite well, and one of the things that she was talking about is it's not only the afterpay and all those kinds of things. The lenders now, geez, when I took out a loan 30 years ago, mate, they just asked what your expenses and your income was, and you gave them a piece of paper, and they pretty much took you on face value. Yeah. Now they're looking, as you said, at your bank statements, and they're looking at things like, people who play lotto online, things like that. All these little things that just $10 here, $10 there, $20 there. And before you know it, you're talking $200 a month. And then they go, oh, oops, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And before anybody in my audience wants to chastise me about all that, I'm living proof. Been there, done that, folks. I've had my time with my let's call it irresponsibility with money, and so I'm certainly a bit like a reformed smoker.
Do your audience chastise you?
Well, look, do you know what? I'm sure somebody will, but hey, it's part of what I do.
Give them my number, I'll defend you.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you. The other thing you're talking about, that the picture that I spoke about with the young lady with all her purchases, and look at me, I didn't pay for anything now. Here's a challenge to any of my audience out there. If you'd like to post a picture of yourself with your shopping that you actually paid for with cash, post it on my social media. That would be awesome, because we're going to give you a big shout out for that.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
And that is spending made easy right there.
There you go. Gratuitous plug again, Sam. Love it. Love it. Sam, this is something that, again, it's I don't know, is it as bad as Afterpay, or is it worse? Payday loans, where people are actually taking out loans in advance of their pay that is coming. And again, Wallet Wizard and all these horrendous companies that are promoting, and their fees, their interest rates at 25, 26, 28%. And if you default, God help you. But what I found interesting the other day is I was listening to an interview of a CEO of one of the big four banks, and he made a comment that the over-regulating of the banks is having an impact on the way that they can lend, and therefore the impact they have with people who need help, i.e. are in some sort of, let's call it, financial distress. And because of the overregulation, it's almost forcing people towards payday loans and all these really, really expensive finance methods to get themselves out of the poop, because the banks are kind of hamstrung because of the regulations. What are your thoughts on any of that?
At the start of that sentence, you said you're not sure if it's worse or better than the Afterpay scenarios, buy now, pay later. I reckon the payday loans are worse, because your payday is your payday. It's not that's what it's called. It's in the title, payday. Like, it's not like, no, it's just like, oh, you had it last week, so it's not payday today. Oh, but I'll have it next week. Like, you're just running yourself in, like, it's still the same amount of money. If you get 60 grand a year, and then you get it like monthly or fortnightly, then work out your stuff so that you can afford everything. If you start spending more than 60 grand a year or more than that portion of it, if you get paid fortnightly or whatever, you're always going to be behind and you're always going to be catching up. I don't understand the point of it. If somebody needs that payday loan thing, then they need another job. Because they clearly, or they need a spending plan to see where their money is going for that week and then have it ready to go for the next week. Payday should not be, I had a group, one of my group chats yesterday, we were talking, and one of the ladies said, payday, it doesn't matter when it is. And it doesn't, because you've got all your pay is just a transaction, just like your outgoings are transactions, your incomings are transactions. Doesn't matter when payday is, as long as it happens, and then everything's paid on time every time, if you organize it correctly. So the what's it called? The payday loan is nasty. I think is bad, and I don't understand an employer that would offer it.
And it's really digging a hole. Because, as you said, once you start digging that hole, it's very, very hard to get out of it.
Yeah. So they're enabling you to dig a hole. Yeah. So, here, have this sooner. And then you go, so I'm struggling now. So I've got to reach out to, I need a new pair of shoes. I'm going to have to get those on Afterpay. And then I've got this and this and this. And then when you default, you're being forced to pay those high interest rates and high, default fees or whatever they're called, just because you got yourself in this pickle. And if everybody's doing it, if, the buy now, pay later scenarios are charging you extortionate fees, the banks are getting tougher and your employers are going, here, have you pay sooner? It's not like all of those are like, why don't you just organize your finances better and then do without? The person who's needing the payday loan needs to do without something, cut something back. And there's always things you can cut back. It might be something that you want, that you love every day, if it's your coffee or whatever, but sometimes it's just a few little things and it's not forever. I always say that to people. It's not forever. Just like right now, like stop it.
It's, and ultimately it goes back to the point that you made very early in the program. It's about having a plan and being honest with yourself about what's coming in, what's going out, where's it going, who's it going to, and being really, really honest with yourself and going, okay, well, I can't change the past, but by goodness, I can change the future. And, we know statistically the divorce rate, a lot of those divorces are as a result of money, which is just a real shame. Been there, done that. Sleepless nights over money. It's the last thing you want to have sleepless nights over. As we come to the end, speaking of divorces and couples, how important do you see communication between partners, husband, wives, partners, whichever kind of relationship they're in? In terms of not only having a common goal, but also being transparent with one another. Because often, you see, the hubby's gone off and run off a $40,000 credit card debt and the wife doesn't know about it, or the wife's gone off and, she's done the same thing. Yeah. How do you see the challenges, or in terms of communication between couples, and the importance of having a really, really good spending plan for financial security, but more importantly, peace of mind?
Yeah. I think that communication is king, but I do so it's great if a couple are both on the same page, both got the same goals, they're all loved up and they want this, and it's all a joint harmonious journey and they're transparent, then that is great. And it's, kudos to them. But as we probably know, and I always say this, people generally in a couple, there's one who looks after the finances and one who just lets them, you know, like, and I think that's why the majority of Spending Made Easy's clients are single mums, because generally the guy has looked after their finances, or because they've been the stay-at-home mom, they haven't actually brought any money in, so to speak, you know, and, you know, the husband's gone out and earned it, he's paid the bills, and maybe he's given her some spending money for when she goes out for cake with a, you know, with a toddler group or whatever. And I think that sometimes, well, not sometimes, that can work for people. You know, if they're, you know, I know girls go, I don't look at finances. My husband takes care of that and I can do what I want, you know. And, you know, I met a lady on holiday recently and she said, I do not know what our money situation is. I just know that if I spend it, it's there because he looks after me. And she genuinely did not have an idea. And then she said, I have to come in at night and go, oh, I went wherever today and I spent a lot of money. And he's going, it's all right, darling. They're clearly very wealthy, right? And she doesn't. But if anything happened to him, she's
in trouble.
Which, you know, none of us are alive forever. You know, none of us getting out alive. So, you know what I mean? So I think that you need to be very careful by not having your finger on the pulse. Yeah, you know, spend if you've got it, you know, if you've got all this money and you don't need to worry, then great, but at least know where it's going and have an idea of the situation. So you see, and that couple I just described, they're all loved up, they're great, they've got goals, and she just is not interested in the financial side of it. So I think what I'm trying to say is that everybody's different, but if you do have a common goal and you do communicate, then that's great, and you're transparent, and then each other knows what's going on. But often one person looks after the finances. And because the spending plan is so visual, I've got clients who go, I can't wait to show my husband because he's never been on board with the finances, or, you know, rah, rah, rah. And then they go off and show, and then often the husband gets all excited. So it's good. I think there's a bit of a mix out there, but absolutely communication with money is key. And as you said earlier, you know, it's a big reason why couples break up.
I actually had a friend of mine whose parents, elderly, and the husband looked after the finances for their entire marriage. She had no idea, zero. And he suddenly passed away. And the kids are going, okay, Mum, you got to do this, you got to do it. And she's going, I don't know how to. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay with one or the other being let's say the dominant partner in terms of the finances.
Yeah.
But by goodness, I think it's really, really important that even if you're not involved in it, you have an understanding of what's happening. Have an understanding and a level of awareness. Yeah. Because like you said, we're here for a good time, not a long time. And
exactly.
And we just don't know when we're getting the curtain call. Sam, it's been very interesting, to say the least. You know, as we know, financial issues are one of the biggest challenges that people face in their lives, or can be. You know, it becomes emotional, it becomes physically and emotionally draining. Let's take us out with Sam's top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips. Yeah. Throw them at me.
Throw them at you. My very number 1 top tip, and people always ask me for my top tips. My very top tip, and I think people get this wrong, is you're ready with a pen there, aren't you? I can tell you're ready to write it down. Yeah.
You bet.
Good.
You bet.
I like it. So always start with your outgoings, never your incomings. And that goes back, we're like doing a full circle here. That goes back to the reason budgeting doesn't work, because with budgets, you always start with your income and then you basically fill it. So whatever, if you've got, you know, $5,000 a month coming in and you spend all your $5,000, that's it. It's gone. Whereas if you start with your outgoings, always start with your outgoings, you often never reach the incoming, the value of the incomings. And it's a different mindset, and it actually really works. It's really good. That's top tip number one. Number two is don't be shy, and like don't be nervous. There is absolutely no shame in asking for help. It's not taught in schools. It doesn't come naturally to people. If I have a problem with my car, for example, and I lift the bonnet and I don't know what I'm looking at, but I need it to run smoothly for the next 12, forever, really, forever. I need it to run smoothly. Then I will take it to a mechanic who will look under the bonnet, go, and then I pay him and off I go. So it's like with budgeting, if you need help, reach out, because I can. It's like a Rubik's Cube. If some people get a Rubik's Cube and go, oh, I can't get it. And and then you give it a 12-year-old and he goes, boom, it's all nice and, done. That's what it is with a budget, with a spending plan. When I do your spending plan for you, then it's like all the jigsaw pieces are all a mess and I put them all together for you. And then you have a nice, clear picture of your financial future. So not having a spending plan and not having a goal or a plan or a system doesn't change your bank account. And if you are struggling and you have got, doubts about if you're doing it right, if you could be doing it better, if your Excel spreadsheet is not really floating your boat, then, maybe look at a spending plan and see what you can do. So, yeah, always, but not having a plan or not having anything, and not necessarily with Spending Made Easy, not having it written down in a book, or I'm in loads of Facebook groups with budgeting, and so many people, I've got it all written down in a book, I've got my Excel spreadsheet, I've got this template that I got off the internet, and and everybody's got their own plan, which is great, but as long as you have a plan, then but not having a plan does not change your bank account. And the longer you leave it,
the worse it gets.
Exactly.
Fail to plan to fail.
That's it. Not many people plan to fail.
And number three
is going on the back of that is have a plan. If you do not have a plan whatsoever, so many people don't. They get the money, they spend it, and that goes back to the budget thing. If you get $5,000 a month, you spend $5,000 a month, you don't really know where it goes, but another $5,000 coming in next month, you think you're okay. But have a plan, just some sort of plan, a financial plan with the money when it comes in. And as I said, with tip number one, always start with your outgoings, and there generally is some left. I cannot tell you how many clients come to me saying, oh, I've got loads more going out than coming in, it's going to be a mess, you're not going to believe it. And then I go, hold on a minute, you've got all this money. And I had a client once who earned over, when she did the spending plan, she had over $12,000 a year surplus, because it shows you your income versus your outgoing. Yeah, she had over $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. She goes, this is wrong, I don't think it's right. And we went through all of the transactions, incomings, outgoings, it was all exact. And she was one of the ones that was arguing, she was a client who was arguing with her partner over money. They weren't sleeping, they were arguing, they were going to break up, they were living beyond their means. In their eyes, they were living beyond their means. But once we put it all in a spending plan, and as we said, if if you're not monitoring it, you can't improve it. She put it all in, and it said, you've got $12,000 a year here, more than you think. And she said to me, are you telling me I waste $1,000 a month? And I said, I'm not telling you waste it. What I'm demonstrating is that it's there. Yet you're arguing with your partner over living beyond your means. You're not living beyond your means. You just not got a plan. So the answer is, for number three, have a plan.
Have a plan.
A
Fantastic.
Spending plan.
Fantastic. Sam, absolute pleasure. Lovely to chat with you and help people with their spending plan, not budgeting, their spending plan. And as we said, we've been poleaxed with cost of living crisis and good knows whatever else. And folks, if you get a spending plan done, you just might be pleasantly surprised. Sam, thank you very much for your time. Absolute pleasure chatting today.
Thank you.
We'll have all of Sam's details in the show notes, how you can contact her and have a chat and put your spending plan together. My name is Con. I am the Conversationalist. And until next time, bye for now.